All right, so Pacific Rim, a prequel series in development at Legendary Entertainment under First Look TV deal with Eric Heisserer. So this is interesting because, Pacific Rim for the most part has been dead in the water for quite some time. The last thing we got Pacific Rim related was, of course, well, I don't know. Well, Pacific Rim The Black, I think season 2 came after the sequel. In fact, the anime might have come after the sequel altogether, but I don't quite remember. But it's been a while since we got anything Pacific Rim related. I could say the last good thing that we got Pacific Rim related was Pacific Rim The Black. Otherwise, unfortunately, the sequel did not do that great or didn't do well at all. And it wasn't even that good of a movie. And then the first Pacific Rim was very good, but unfortunately it just didn't bring in the money. Sucks. That's how things are. However, they're not giving up on it entirely. And I think Legendary's thought process here is our Monsterverse is doing so well. Why don't we give Pacific Rim a second chance? And instead of going into theaters, let's start over. Let's give them a TV show. Let's see how it does. And then if it does well, maybe we can translate it. I do think there is an outside shot, a very outside shot, that this specific series is, because it's supposed to be a prequel, is an attempt to rewrite the history and of the movie in an attempt to maybe link it to the Monsterverse down the road. That's very loose. That's just my speculation, but that's when you consider the fact that this is about giant robots and giant monsters and the whole crossover thing, and there have been people that have been an advocate for this for a long time. I once was many years ago. The last couple of years I haven't been, because again, Pacific Rim has been dead in the water. So the whole idea of bringing it in didn't make any sense. Now that they're actually kind of trying to breathe life back into it, and they're doing it from the very beginning, from the prequel, from the beginning of the since before the first movie, I think this is an attempt to rewrite the history of Pacific Rim and try to make it a little bit more cohesive with the Monsterverse. And it wouldn't surprise me if this show actually kind of highlights that at some point. Now, there's not many details on the show except for the fact that the creator of the show and the person who's going to be working on it, who once again his name is Eric Heisserer. One of the things he's most notable for is writing the script for The Arrival. He's done a lot of other work, and I'll just read this here right quick. Legendary Entertainment has entered into a first look television deal with Eric Heisserer. Variety has learned. Under the deal, Heisserer and Carmen Lewis, with whom Heisserer founded the production company Chronology, will develop and shepherd IP-driven and related projects for Legendary. The first project to be developed under the deal will be a Pacific Rim origin story series. Eric, multi-talented, prolific creator whose track record is critical and commercial success, speaks for itself. We're thrilled to launch our partnership with Eric, Chronology, and Carmen with a new entry in the epic, globally popular Pacific Rim universe. We are certain their vision will make an enthralling expansion to legendary beloved franchises. So, Heisserer has received an Academy Award nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay for the film Arrival in 2017. His other feature writing credentials include the hit Netflix Bird Box, as well as Lights Out, Hours, which he also directed, Bloodshot, and the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. In television, he developed the Netflix series Shadow and Bone, based on the Grishaverse YA novels. So it looks like they got some guy who's competent. I haven't seen a lot of his work. I did see Arrival, and I think it's a good thing. For those of you out there who are monster and kaiju fans, you're gonna get more of it. Now, in terms of when I think we'll get this show, I feel almost confident enough to say we'll get it in 2026. I don't know why. It just, when you consider the next Godzilla movie comes out in 2027, and I'm going on the speculation that they're going to eventually try to link the two. this would breathe more life into the Monsterverse franchise because of the fact that you're only going to get away with Kong and Godzilla shenanigans for so long before you're going to have to do something fresh to make the Monsterverse interesting. And I do think that this is what it's going to be. Now, again, speculation. It could just be that they want to have a separate franchise and they want to breathe life back into the IP and they think it has potential to stand on its own. I don't. I think the proof is in the pudding. I think I really do think that this is an attempt to bridge the gap at some point in the future. Depends how long they have Godzilla for, depends how many movies they got planned, but considering they're planning their movies one after the other, depending on how they perform, if there were to be another Godzilla and Kong movie after 2027, my guess is that it would come out in 2030. If you're trying to bridge the gap between these two IPs, and we're now in 2024, that gives you 6 years to plan for that. And then if you have the show come out in 2026, then you got 4 years to bridge the gap. That's kind of how I see it. Do I think it's going to happen in my heart of hearts? Probably not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. So, but overall, still good news, still a net positive for those of us who like big monster and robot action. So yeah, there's that.